Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, representing Jason Blaha Strength and Fitness, and today I want to chat with you guys and gals about the fact that we can still lift really heavy and make gains after 40. But a quick reminder, if you guys will please click like down below, be greatly appreciated. If you're not subscribed or following, please do so, and if you'll be kind enough to drop me a comment down below, I'd appreciate it so much. Thank you. Here's the thing I'm going to point out, not just about my training. I'm obviously an outlier. I'm an outlier. You guys have seen me squat and deadlift, not heavier weights on the squat, right? You haven't seen me do over 500, down at this sort of body weight. You've seen me squat 600. I've pulled over 600 numerous times, so on and so forth. You've seen me pause bench 365. Here's the thing, though. Let's set me aside as the outlier. I coach people all the time who are in their 40s. I have a bunch of my guys you guys have seen who are almost 40. All right, you guys have seen Justin squat 500 at almost 40, pull high 500s. I've got a lot of guys well into their 30s lifting big weights, but I do have some guys who are pretty dang strong in their 40s, who competed in powerlifting meets, right? I've had guys pull over 500 in meets in their 40s. I've got other guys who routinely we've seen 405 squats, 500 plus deadlifts, right? Those dad bod strength standards that I set out up there are not unreasonable, and I have clients who are not power lifters who hit those numbers, right? I have clients who are power lifters, not power lifters who hit those numbers, and realistically for a lot of guys, the bench seems to be the hardest. But I still have guys who are much better at benching than they are the other two. So we have people, it seems to be more of a build thing. But we're not talking about guys blasting a bunch of gear. We're talking about usually just guys maybe on TRT. But that's its own topic too, isn't it? That people are afraid of hormone optimization, which is to me such a strange idea that there's a niche in the fitness world with a problem with it when the rest of the world is just fine with it. Now, will I be the first to say with that you should probably get your lifestyle in order? Yes. I'm very pro TRT, assuming you have everything else in order. Makes sense? If dudes are fat and they're drinking beer and, eating garbage and they're not working out, well, I'm not necessarily going to support TRT in that context because their testosterone might be a lot more normal if they just fix those things. Okay, but that's a separate topic. Other people would point out, yeah, but they're more likely to fix those things if their testosterone is normal. Ooh, man, that's a whole complicated, nuanced topic. But let's come back over and let's talk about, the point with the heavy lifting. Here's the thing. I find that overuse is the biggest problem with heavy lifting for older guys. Bad nutrition. In my case, had a lot of issues, and still have it with overhead stuff. But I think it's been largely due to bicep overuse, right? So this is the case of which I'm working on correcting. So, we're avoiding any supine stuff. But that's something we're going to talk about too. Maybe we should talk about that now. Look, if you have movement patterns that are problematic, and it's almost always going to be something abnormal, right? Because we're not really designed to do those supine stuff. There's not a normal, natural part of our movement pattern to do that, unless it's just picking stuff up. Meaning a supine grip curl type movement, notice we're weakest at it compared to a hammer. Why? Because that's our normal, is to grab something in a hammer type position to lift it, okay? If anytime historically we've done stuff underhand, it's usually a carry with the elbow locked down. We don't normally flex the elbow like that. Even a pull-up, you pull yourself up a tree or something, or up a rope or up a ledge, it's almost always overhand. A rope is more neutral. So that's problematic for a lot of guys. And I'm not the only one who's had that issue. I've seen Matt Winning say the same thing. He's a guy well in his 40s who lifts crazy strong. Okay? Seeing some patterns there? Absolutely patterns. Okay? How we choose to squat, if we go into supine positions, overuse of certain movements. But how often is it always the smaller movement? It tends to be overuse of small exercises that gets us as we get older. Not the bigger movements where we have an even load distribution. We tend to do well with those. Again, as long as we're not put into bad positions. So really what gets you, I've noticed for lifters over 40, overuse. Overuse of unfavorable positions and movement patterns. That's what knocks you out of the game, not lifting heavy. Excessive overtraining on your heavy stuff, right? Know your limits. Know your limits. Okay? Even like for me on benching, maybe don't do more than one really heavy session. Really heavy set in a session, right? Don't do a true max on any lift more than once a week, right? Because this is a true max on the bench there for me at the time, right? That 350 is moving slow. You know, it's a good pause, but that's a max. I didn't try to max like that hard again for weeks. There's no need. Okay? Right? There's no need. Same thing, this 500 squat I had hit earlier in the year. That was the only heavy squat rep I did for a whole week. Just one. Right? Just one. Again, all we need. I think for older guys too, one of the things I think is over-reliance on supportive equipment instead of just building, right? Putting all that compression on stuff because something's getting inflamed is going to make you keep overusing it. Fix the movement. Fix the overuse. Okay? Don't rely on those Band-Aids and crutches. All the sleeves and wraps. Again, I believe that gets older lifters. The other big thing you've got to pay attention to is inflammation in your body. Your diet matters way, way, way more. Alcohol's going to hit you harder. Junk food's going to get you harder. All those things are going to hit you harder as you get older. Having a diet that controls inflammation more, right? Healthy fats, whole grains, sticking to unrefined carbs, keeping quality protein high, right? Keeping your diet rich in antioxidants. That means fruits and vegetables, people. Okay? That stuff is going to impact your ability to lift heavy and train hard because it's going to affect tendons, it's going to affect inflammation, joints, all those things. Right? This is the stuff that you have to pay attention to. And you have to not ego lift. Ego lifting too. Overuse and ego lifting. That's what gets you. And if you can pay attention to those things and really master those things in your 30s, okay, so that you go into your 40s without having pre-created problems, you can still manage it really, really well.